Shine.fm presents Stronger Together, a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationships, and community. Here's Seth Tower Hurd.
So this is the first Stronger Together we've done actually sitting in the middle of a store, which you might think, what's going on with that? And then if one of the cats runs through, you're probably going to really think, what's going on with that? Margie and Christine run the, help me with the name to get it right, Journey Hub, is that, that's what it's called, which is a pro-life resource and retail shop in the south suburbs of Chicago. You might think we're talking about, the pro-life movement, which, we certainly can at some point, although this being Christian radio, most of us are probably going to be of the same opinion, right? What we're really going to dive into is how mentorship is really like the secret sauce to changing people's lives, particularly people who are at risk. So this is the brainchild. All this is 5 years old-ish, right? Yes, and it was an idea for the two of you before that. So when did you know that, you guys have been friends for good chunk of your lives, right? When did you know that there was a need or there was a different way to reach, girls who were facing an unplanned pregnancy and looking at their options?
Well, the pregnancy unplanned is just one component of a person's life. And I had worked in a couple different sectors, so had Margie. And what I had found over the years is pregnancy was just one season of life that women have to navigate through, especially if it's unexpected. So through the different programs of meeting with different people for emotional wholeness or self-care or coping or life skills or death, divorce, grief, we needed to have something that was broader from women all the way from 14 to 85. Our oldest client is 82 and she's struggling with divorce, grief.
Okay, which is got to be pretty devastating thing at that point. So mentorship being the secret sauce, like I said, who was this in each one of your lives that you knew you wanted to pass this along? Like, was there 5 people? Was there just one person that really wound up making you a different person? And when was that in your life?
Well, for me, I was really blessed to be brought up in a Christian family, and I'm a third generation Christian. And so for me, it was a legacy of faith. And so having Journey, we just really wanted to have that available to our clients. And through mentorship, I mean, it's all about sharing Jesus. It's all about being able to have that contact. And every time a client comes in, we're able to share that in our actions and in the shop when they get their $20 gift certificate, being able to redeem that in the shop and being able to have a cup of coffee with them and building a relationship with them. And that's what the mentors do. That's what Pam, as our client counselor, dealing with all of the clients, does. That's what Christine does. It's just a beautiful thing. And seeing our volunteers work within their giftedness, it's a beautiful thing. It's all about being able to share our faith and being able to pass down that legacy.
This is Stronger Together, the show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. We're hanging out at Journey Hub in Mokina in the south suburbs of Chicago, talking about how mentoring really can be like the X factor for somebody who is facing a pretty significant crossroads in their lives. Actually, I think we need to kind of go back to the beginning and start just about what's going on here, because if you are watching the video online or if you want to check out the video later, we're in like this really cool kind of artsy shop that would fit in the coolest neighborhood in any major city, right? And we're talking about mentoring. So how do those two things fit together? Like what is the journey? Well, journey. Yeah. Tell us what this thing is.
Well, certainly mentoring is building relationship, and it takes a long time. So we have to build trust. So the idea was to create an atmosphere, very intentional atmosphere that would welcome people in, whether they're shopping, whether they're coming in to take a tour, whether they're dropping off donations, and they get a sense and a feel the moment they walk in that this is a safe place. And there's something different about here, and they begin to ask more questions because whatever that feeling or that emotion is that they feel when they come through the doors of Journey, we want to recreate that one-on-one with their mentor. So just a community of openness and trust. We believe that we earn the right to speak truth into people's life, and sometimes that takes months to a couple of years. So that's the store, and our community and our open door allows us to be a social service but not look like a social service, be a charitable organization while also reaching out to the community and giving them an opportunity to check us out first.
Yeah. So somebody comes in the shop, or they know somebody that's here, and then it's not that hard, I think, when you're at a major crossroads in your life to be open to somebody else helping you. I think you get to a point where you just will do anything to find the right answer. Right. And so you said 14 to 82.
Yes.
You know, what kinds of problems walk through the door for, you know, mentorship, or, you know, what kind of, you know, just obstacle that somebody's trying to climb over. We talked about unplanned pregnancy. We talked about divorce in your 80s, which is just crazy. But what are some of the things in between those two, you know, kind of examples?
I would say any type of depression, anxiety, especially those that are dealing with that don't have resources to receive the care, either through because they don't have financial means or insurance, or they just haven't found the right mentor or someone to speak into their life, someone who's struggling with self-harm, or bad body image, or wrong thinking, or in an abusive relationship. We don't try to be everything to all people. We do try to act as a connector to the outside resources, and just to build that relationship to identify what it is that they really need.
Yeah. So if I came in and just said I'm struggling with extreme anxiety, right? And you guys might not know exactly what got me there, just you know how to get me to the place where I can start to get help.
Correct.
Would that be a good way to say it?
Yes, we want to make you comfortable enough to let you know that there's no bait and switch. I really care about you, Seth. I would, either it would be Margie welcoming you in the store, making you feel welcome, telling you a little bit about our services, connecting with you to let you know that we really truly care about you. And it might take a long time for you to be comfortable enough telling us the story behind the anxiety, but maybe you just need to discuss what that anxiety feels like and how it plays out in your life.
Yeah. As a Christian, I love this so much because, you know, I've had people tell me, oh, I tried the church thing and it burned me. And I'm like, okay, well, let's get into that a little more. And a lot of times what I hear is, I went to church twice and I showed up 20 minutes late, and then I left 5 minutes early so I didn't have to talk to anybody, but nobody helped me. Well, you didn't even you didn't talk to anybody. You know, I get it. Like if you're maybe a person who's not sure what they believe and you're walking into this thing and it's like, oh, well, this is scary, so I'm going to bounce out early. And then it's very easy to feel like, oh, well, I tried it. It didn't, you know, nothing changed. And it's not the church that failed them. It was just that there wasn't an opportunity to kind of penetrate that person's life to the point where you could have, you know, big conversations. And, you know, a lot of times there's a long lead up to that. So that's really fantastic.
Right. And we want to offer that here. When as soon as they come in the door, they're going to meet with somebody. And we have people that are ready to talk with them. You know, that's why we have a donor that underwrites our coffee service. We want relationship with them because we know Jesus was all about relationship. And so that's what we're here for. We're here about building. We're here about listening. We're here about moving them from survival to success.
Yeah. This is Stronger Together. Talking mentoring with Journey Hub, which is a retail shop and resource for connecting people in, you know, points of crossroads and crisis to all kinds of different resources and just letting them have a friend there. So obviously not everybody in the Shine FM audience in the Shine FM family can connect to you guys because you know, there's probably about a 15-20 minute window around the shop. You know, but there may be something like this within your own church, within a nonprofit, within a few minutes of you. What does it take to be, you know, basically a good listening ear, you know, to somebody who is in a very sensitive spot and can probably get walked on emotionally pretty easily or be hurt pretty easily. So when somebody is, you know, courageous enough to say, I'm going through something, from your experience, what should the response be?
I believe confidential. So they feel like there's a confidential environment, that whatever they share with us won't be repeated. Two, I believe it would be that they don't know exactly what it is they're seeking, and so they won't feel like there's an agenda to get them roped into your idea of what their life should play out. So I think that people can detect pretty easy your intentions if they're authentic or not. And I believe that also it really is the right people that are called here. It is a likeness and a kindred spirit for everyone that volunteers here. We're very careful in assuring that anybody that we place in front of our clients, whether it's in the atmosphere of the shop or in with our clients, doesn't have their own motive, even if it is to reach them for the gospel, which is our ultimate goal. But sometimes we have to be, and especially today's generation, particularly in the pro-life organization, you have to be Jesus in action rather than words. They want to see you play it out and be authentic. And that's mostly by telling your own story and asking very good questions to getting to know who that person is. And telling your own story is always, that never fails you.
Yeah.
It's like I always say, we're just on the other side of your situation. We're just on this side, but I was on that side so many years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think back to some of the weirder conversations I've had with Christians as a Christian, to where somebody approaches me at a farmer's market or a store and I'm not saying that I haven't felt that God hasn't prompted me to do stuff like that sometimes too. But all I can say from my own experience is when I have been pretty sure God wants me to go talk to somebody, it is not me doing a Jesus hard sell right off the bat. It is, listening to God, point me towards someone and then, trusting him for the words to say, as opposed to okay, I'm going to hammer this home on you right now. I certainly have had times when God has asked me to go talk to somebody. However, during those times, I really try to be listening to what God's directing me towards, because I know that 99 times out of 100, just like Jesus selling somebody like you're trying to sell them Girl Scout cookies, it's just not going to go well in the American context. And, I've also been in the missions context in Central and South America, actually, that does go. But, taking in kind of people having bad experiences of that, you have to factor that in, right? Let's get back on the mentoring track here and the empathy track here for just a moment. If we can look universally at somebody that just went through some kind of crisis. We talked about anxiety, divorce, a loss, something like that. What are 3 or 4 things that anybody just knows? They may say, I'm not going to volunteer to be a mentor, but we're all called to be some kind of friend, some kind of church person. If it's somebody at church, maybe it could be your cousin, it could be a coworker. What are 3 or 4 things that everybody needs to not say something idiotic, like walking through a funeral? And I know people are well-intentioned, but then they're like, oh, well, he was a Christian, he's in a better place.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's just maybe not the best timing for this. It's not really helping anybody, and it's something that everybody says, but it's not actually, you didn't help anybody there. Right. So what are those key factors? If I got a coworker that I know is really going through it, they're not a Christian, I'd love to be able to share what I believe with them and just help them. What are those factors of friendship?
I would say that it is action, and it's building time and relationship and waiting for those opportunities that we call divine moments here, divine appointments. And you just know when it hits. You might meet with someone for 8 months and you're in the room with them and you have this moment where you're like, this is the moment that they're ready to hear this truth, because you've paved the way, you've walked along with them. That's why we call our mentors journey guides. And all of us have this approach, regardless of what area it is to spend time waiting for those divine appointments. And they might not happen. We might have just done it through our actions. So we do have people say, how do I reach people like you're reaching people? I think our environment is conditioned to just accept people and let them just be for as long as they need to be. And then when they're ready, we're prepared to pour that truth into them.
Let's talk about just being healthy in the middle of being able to help people over and over again. Because, we now know that... I think it was something that Mother Teresa didn't want people to know when she was alive, but journaled about pretty extensively that man, she really had a hard time, as you can imagine. I mean, if you're running a house for the dying in a destitute part of a country, you're going to be, sad a lot. And, you know, that was something she kept a very brave front on for the people she was helping. And then later found out, man, she just was really, probably could have used some more support herself, right? Could have used some more empathy herself. You guys are in a place where God has called you to be there for people who are really going through it. But you also seem like you're pretty fun people and like this, right? So how do you stay healthy so that, like, you know, the doctor doesn't become the patient, so that you help so many people, you get so depressed that you're like, I'm coming into my own shop because I'm so just distraught over the problems of the world.
Yes.
Well, we pray a lot. We hold each other accountable. We've got wonderful husbands and families that support us, and we've got great church homes. I have a great small group, and it's not us, it's the power of the Holy Spirit working through us. And it gives us supernatural energy to be able to do something we absolutely love. We are just so blessed to be able to come here every day and to see what God has in store. And we are so humbled and privileged to see the people that come in here, whether they're coming in for the first time to shop, or whether they're possibly a new client that's just, you know, scoping us out. I mean, it is just amazing to be able to see what each day looks like. And that just really gets me excited to see how God is going to use each day and how we might be able to be used in some way to make a difference in someone's life.
And that energizes us. Yes, when you feel like you're depleted or you're down or you realize you're carrying something, it's those moments that you see a life has changed or something that you weren't expecting. It just fills you. You're like, we're doing kingdom work. How can this be, you know, exhausting? God will give us the tools because it's kingdom work.
You know, and maybe I'm going to get in trouble with some kind of volunteer director out there, but I would say that, you know, every Christian has got something to give, right? And if you're trying to give and you're in a situation where you never have those moments of like, oh my gosh, this was so worth it. Like if you're volunteering in the sound booth at church and you're actually really bad at it, so you're miserable all the time, listening to this episode would be a good day to decide to make the change to like, God has given me specific abilities and, you know, I tried this to be nice because I needed help. I'm maybe going to go over here now and do the thing I care about, because if you don't have those like rushes of energy, that's probably a sign that there's something just a little off in your life.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So kind of say it like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's when you're anointed to do something, when you're in it, you forget all time and space, and you just
and we
you
get in
look
trouble
and you're
a
like,
lot
how
for
in the
that,
world do we
don't
get
we?
done? Yes.
I mean, this is the most exciting thing that we've ever been able to participate in, and we can't wait to share it. We can't wait to share Jesus. We can't wait to get as many people involved with it as we can, and it's quite a privilege.
This is Stronger Together, a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. Mentoring is such an important and largely overlooked aspect of growth as a Christian, as outreach to people who are going through hard times. And a lot of times it's overlooked because it's like hard and it's scary. And we're with Margie and Christine from the Journey Hub, just talking about how to do that and what life looks like on the other side. Let's talk about teenagers here for a little bit, because you guys do work with a good number of them, right? I've been wanting to do an episode of Stronger Together, probably with law enforcement coming up, just about safety issues around technology, because I feel like even thinking about maybe I should do that episode back in January, like things have moved already since then. And there's a lot of preteens that are using apps like Musically that are not necessarily safe and that are, are maybe putting, a preteen or, a very young teenager possibly in contact with someone who's dangerous, right? And the thing that's so mind-blowing about that was this thing like barely existed a year ago, and now all of a sudden it's like a big issue with raising junior hires or having junior hires in your life that you work with at church. Like, kind of give me the state of the American teenager, the American preteen right now.
It changes not even day by day. It seems like it changes hour by hour. I'm never not shocked by the things we hear, and we're constantly learning and trying to figure out where they're coming from, but they will tell us things that they won't tell their parents. And when parents do bring their teenagers here, they do have to sign a waiver to allow us to speak to them. And we do tell the parents that unless they're at harm to themselves or someone else, you're giving us permission for them to talk freely. So we're doing a lot of research and development as we meet these teenagers, because they really have got such a battle every day.
Yeah. And that battle's going to be different in 6 months.
Exactly.
After this episode.
Yes.
So how would you guys speak to that as far as like you're seeing what teenagers are going through? What's the best way to keep up on top of it, especially if you're a parent and you're maybe not the person they want to talk to about some of the heavier stuff that just is life now? I mean, if you're going to have any kind of friends, in some ways, it's going to involve a smartphone.
Right. Right. Yes. I mean, I believe that encouraging them to have a relationship with their youth pastor, or if they're in a church, their leader, someone outside of being a teenager that they can talk to freely and share with, it holds them a little bit more accountable just getting it out. I think that I would encourage every parent, like whether it's if you're a mom, it's your sister, if it's your friend, if it's someone at church, if it's an organization like we have at Journey, whether it's a counselor, don't be prideful thinking that as their parent, you should have to know everything, because kids know what to tell us and they know what to say to make us happy. They're going to tell us a lot of times what we want to hear, but they're pretty forthright with people who are not their parents.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to the tech issue right now at all? I mean, is there anything that I mentioned the app Musically. Is there anything else that we should, that maybe I don't know about because I'm not the parent of a teenager, or somebody who's working with like a youth group on a regular basis?
I would for sure say really, one of my really good friends, she has all teenage boys, and her rule at night is they have to turn them in at 10 because it's those after hours. That's when a lot of activities and conversations, and they're able to go on for longer periods of time of really exploring things. So certainly the night watch is a very important time period to be very aware of.
Okay, and then you get your phone back the next morning.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but at bedtime, you could just say it's because you should be studying or sleeping. That's not unreasonable.
And actually, that's not... Maybe we need like adults to do that for adults as well, because how many adults fall asleep on their phone?
True.
Banging out one last email and they're totally disrupting their sleep cycle. So even for the most innocent reasons, like we almost all need a phone nanny that would just come around. Be like, no.
We joke about that all the time, yes.
Yeah, so you should wind down for the day. That's enough social networking. That's enough work. That's enough news.
Yes.
Go read a book. Do something. Relax.
Yes. Well, one really important thing that I know, sometimes it's the simplest things. When we've had individuals or teenagers that struggle with anxiety or any type of bipolar or any type of daily struggles where they're up and down, up and down, up and down, the one thing I always find helpful is to say our bodies are meant to have a schedule. So our body wants to have a pattern. So even putting the phone off and turning it in or going to bed at a certain time helps relieve something as huge as anxiety, but it's a small little step that they can take that actually teaches our bodies to have patterns and rhythms. So our bodies are attuned to care for some of these big issues that we have. So a lot of times it's just simple things.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that we know about human psychology, especially people who've been through trauma of things like war, is that people can even show symptoms of what we would call insanity that go away in 3 days if you just get 8 hours of sleep and eat regular meals. And yet we get in this thing where it's like, and I do this too because I do this show on Shine FM, but my kind of primary professional role in life is a business owner, right? And I think I can push myself to the max, and then I get there to the edge of it a couple times a year, and I'm like, why am I so like a zombie? Why am I sad? Oh, I needed to sleep.
Right. The simplest
and so
of things.
Getting back to this point about people in crisis and mentorship and people at crossroads, that I think is one of those things you don't have to be a professional to help somebody through. Like, hey, 8 hours of sleep, water, don't drink 50 million milligrams of caffeine a day. Like those things are actually going to keep you going.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's why, and Margie can speak to this too, because she's in charge of a lot of our hospitality and welcoming people. Environment is so key. That's why we're very intentional with our environment. We're setting an example for when you need refuge, when you need to reset, when you need to have downtime to really just kind of unwind. You should have environments within your home, within your daily life they'll say, something's different here. And we'll say, you can create this same sense and the same feeling at home. And that is one of our biggest objectives, is to set environment and help other people understand the value of environment. I mean, God's our creator. He made a beautiful world for us to rest in. So why wouldn't we incorporate that into our homes?
This is Stronger Together, the show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationship, and community. We're talking mentorship and also just personal health with the Journey Hub. Margie and Christine join me. If you happen to be in the south suburbs of Chicago, you can come here, you can shop. And if you're not within 15 to 20 minutes of here, you can apply a lot of these same principles that we've talked about with friendship, mentorship, and also just, in this case, creating a pretty cool space for yourself. So, if you're listening on the radio, you can always catch the video later to see what we're talking about. But when we talk about a space that's healthy, obviously this place feels really cool. How can anybody make that?
They can come shop here. So we have some delightful things that are donated from so many friends. We always have the best of the best here because Goodwill is right down the street, but we have some beautiful items here. And they're not only for our clients, but they're also for just anyone that would like to shop here. They can check us out on the web at journeygoods.com. And the items here are household items. We have teen items, women's items, baby clothes, you name it. And just a beautiful atmosphere, ideas to help them decorate, as well as a great cup of joe and a cup of tea if you're a tea drinker. And plus, we've just got wonderful volunteers that would love to meet with you. And if they are thinking of maybe wanting to have a mentor to talk some things out with, maybe to do some goal setting with, you can meet with somebody, you can fill out an application, and we're here for that too. But we worship a God of order, and we can help get things in order with your life too if you just come on in and have a cup of coffee with us. Christine and I are just so blessed to be able to do this, and we would love to be able to have the opportunity to meet with you.
This has been Stronger Together. It's a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationships, and community. If you've missed any part of this episode on the radio, you can always go back, search Shine.fm podcast wherever you subscribe to audio, or check out the video by searching Shine.fm on Facebook or YouTube. We've talked mentorship, we've talked empathy, and we've talked really also taking care of yourself so you can take care of others with Margie and Christine from the Journey Hub. If I could just, grab a little 10-second piece of wisdom here on the end that you can take with you and use this week. If you meet somebody at work, at church, at school, at an extracurricular activity that probably could use a friend, is going through something, is at some kind of crossroads, be it an unplanned pregnancy or severe grief at 80 years old, what's that thing you need to do to not be weird and to actually be helpful? What does that person want you to be? What do they need you to be? How can you be Jesus to them in a way that doesn't smother them or make them not want to hang out with you and not want to hear about Jesus?
I would say be yourself. The one thing that we really realize and recognize here is it's much better to strengthen your strengths than improve your weaknesses. So what we find is if you're yourself, if I try to be small talky and work in a crowd, that's not my gifting. My gifting is more one-on-one, and it's because I have a story that might be much more relatable. And so I have to remember when I step outside of that, I'm not connecting. So if I do see people and I recognize that maybe I don't have that style of mentoring that they need, I know someone who does, or I'll connect them like with Margie, who would build them up and make them feel like they're a superhero. And sometimes you just have to be willing to make sure you know who you are and be authentic. So connect with people, but be authentic. Don't be fake. Don't try to be something you're not. Don't try to have fancy words. Just be yourself.
Don't try to read off of a script.
No. Don't try to mimic what you've read or saw. If it changed your life, Or if it greatly impacted you, yeah, share it, pass it along. That's what we're meant to do, is to keep it moving. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that was your idea, and don't pretend it was. Mm-hmm.
This is Stronger Together. We've been at the Journey Hub. If you happen to be in the south suburbs of Chicago, you can definitely check this place out. And we'll throw a link to their website in the show notes, so you can search Shine.fm on Facebook, YouTube, or where you download podcasts to go ahead and grab that. And yeah, I mean, just to put a bow on this thing, go be a friend. It's easier and probably more natural than you think. Don't overthink it. This is what God has called us to, for people who are put in our path when they're really going through something. This is Shine.fm.
That was Stronger Together, a show about growing in marriage, parenting, relationships, and community. Subscribe to the Shine.fm podcast to catch every episode of Stronger Together, available on the iTunes podcast app and wherever podcasts are available.